the rise of... Oh boy. Hey guys, it's Amerie. Welcome to my September book haul. So this is the thing. This is my September book haul. A lot of these I've gotten in September, but I've acquired lots of books in the last few months, but they're like way too many. Usually I keep them like aside so I can like haul them, but the pile was becoming too big, so I just like incorporated it into my bookshelves. So this is what I have. It's mostly September. I think there's something that I already told you about on here, or actually showed you, I can't really quite remember. I wasn't even gonna haul anything, but then I was like, oh, I did get some cool new ones, so I wanted to show you. Let's get started. The first is Jack Kerouac's On the Road. I don't even know if I pronounced his name correctly. Kerouac. It's a classic. I feel like sometimes I just want to read classics to get in on the conversation, and this one is supposed to be very good. I believe it's a coming-of-age road trip. I think it goes through the South or something like that. It says that it's a motion picture now, but I haven't seen it. Ken Liu's The Paper Menagerie. I love this. I love this here. If you don't remember, I told you about that story that made me cry on the treadmill called The Paper Menagerie. I know this is going to sound hyperbolic, but when I'm reading Ken Liu's stories, I feel like I'm reading a once-in-a-generation talent. I'm in awe. Ken Liu really is amazing at writing short stories. That short story literally made me cry on the treadmill, and I just wasn't ready. And everyone I speak to said that they've cried the same way, like at work or whatever, and it's just such an amazing story. So I'm going to read more of his short stories here. He also wrote The Grace of Kings, which is a full-length novel. It's gotten lots of great reviews, so I want to check that out too, but first I want to read all of his short stories because I don't cry. I don't cry when reading, and Ken Liu's story made me cry. He won an award for it as well. The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. This is printed on some heavy paper because this little book right here is super heavy. This book takes place in the Seven Realms. I haven't read any of Ms. Chima's works, or Chima, Cindy Williams Chima. Chima or Chima, I believe it may be Chima. I haven't read any of her books, but she's created 2 series that are all in the same world. I believe she just started a 3rd series, and that the worlds are kind of connected. And I love when universes are connected. I love when a writer creates something that's in one universe and creates another series, but they're actually in the same universe, but you don't have to read them all. It's just like little Easter eggs in there. Brandon Sanderson does the same thing with the Cosmere. I've heard many great things about her work, so I just want to join in on the fun. I'm kind of coming in late, but I don't care. Melina Marchetta's Finnikin of the Rock. This is the author of Jellicoe Road, which won a Prince Award. It's been on my iPad forever, but I haven't read it. But everyone almost kind of swears that this is one of the best fantasies that they've ever read. I've heard this from so many people that I just had to check it out for myself. Basically, it's about a boy who escapes a kingdom in which the royal family is all killed at the same time, and then the kingdom is cursed, so it's kind of sealed off, and no one can go in, no one can go out, and so we don't know what's going on the inside of the kingdom. The heir to the throne may be alive, so I think this story is about the protagonist trying to find out the truth about that heir, because I think they were best friends. I read a few pages of this. I think I read the first 30 pages, but I had to do something and I ended up putting it down, but I didn't want to pick it up again until I could really sit down with it. So I will be reading it. When I tell you that many people say this is one of their favorite fantasies and it's one of the best YA fantasies that they've ever read in their lives, I've heard that from multiple trusted sources, so I'm going in. The City Stained Red by Sam Sykes. Sam Sykes is a fantasy author. He's extremely well known, very popular. His mother also happens to be Diana Gabaldon. I don't know anything about this. All I know is that Sam is really, really cool, very nice, one of the nicest authors that I've encountered on the internet. So I'm really looking forward to it. He has blurbs from Robin Hobb and Scott Lynch, so I trust those. I'm going in this really blind, but what I do know is that although he writes fantasy that's very gritty, he's known for injecting a lot of humor into the situation. So I'm imagining lots of sarcasm, witty banter, that kind of thing. Well, we shall see. Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is essentially, I think I told you about this story before. Remember the story where you have a family that's split up by slavery, the slave trade, and so you have some of the family that stays in Africa and some of the family that goes over to the Americas, and then we kind of follow both lines, and then I think they kind of come together at some point later in the future. Basically, we witness what happens to that family on both ends, which I find really fascinating. I think I was putting this on hold because I just wasn't sure if my heart could take it yet, but I've heard really, really great things, and I'm interested to get to this. It's not super long. Ta-Nehisi Coates, who wrote Between the World and Me, which is amazing. If you haven't read that, you should definitely read it. He blurbed this, as well as Phil Clay, who wrote Redeployment. So check that out. Definitely check out Between the World and Me. I think that is really, like Toni Morrison says, it's required reading, and I definitely think it's required reading. It really helps to understand where we are, especially right now in this country, regarding race and class, and just understanding the context of so much that's happening. And it's a short read, so definitely check it out if you can. I still have the sticker on here because remember I said how I love to keep the sticker on until I'm ready to read it, so it still feels new. Do a little shimmy sometimes because certain things require. The Sympathizer by Viet Nguyen. I'm not sure if it's Thanh. This is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. It's about a communist sleeper agent who lives in America after the Vietnam War. He's half French and half Vietnamese, so he has like mixed loyalties. This is another story that supposedly has a lot of humor injected into it. I really like when you can take a story that's dark and gritty, whether that's horror or something that's just a lot of drama, and you can make it funny. I'm a big fan of black humor. T.C. Boyle says it's magisterial, a disturbing, fascinating, and darkly comic tale on the fall of Saigon and its aftermath, and a powerful examination of guilt and betrayal. The Sympathizer is destined to become a classic. I'm here for this. I read a few pages of this and I definitely caught the sarcasm that kind of is the underlying tone of the story. And I think that whenever you can mix that really well, for instance, The Magicians, Jonathan Franzen's work, I really just am drawn to that kind of thing. I guess because I can be a very sarcastic person myself. Wickedly sarcastic, usually just in general, I think. When I was in high school, I was even like almost maybe brutally sarcastic, but I never meant any harm. It's just like I was just really sarcastic about everything. I think I've toned down a little bit. Plus it won the Andrew Carnegie Award and the Pulitzer, so that's pretty major. Although I haven't read the other Pulitzer winning book, All the Light We Cannot See. You've seen it on the shelves behind me all the time, and it's just been sitting there. It's one of the books that I definitely have to get to this year. I have quite a few of those. That's why I'm like, what are you doing with all these books, Amerie? What are you doing? But you know, I'm growing my library. I am reading these, but I read so many library books. That's the reason why I don't always get to these books, because I'm constantly reading, I think 50% library books and 50% books that I own. So I'm doing my best. Gabriel and the Swallows. This is by Esther Dalseno. I told you about this author before. She wrote Drown, the story that was kind of like the dark, twisted tale on The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. It was the one that was like, ugh, I loved it. So this is the first book in a new series. I actually skimmed the synopsis because I didn't want to know too much, so I'll just read you what I've read. A lonely farm boy, a girl with swallow's wings, an ancient city buried in a volcano, a mystery old as blood and bone. I know that the prose is going to be beautiful, so this is a 2-book series. I'm not going to read the back too much. I must go into this as blind as possible. I'll let you know how it goes. We Have All Lived in the Castle. I've been meaning to read this book for the last 4 years. It's a classic by Shirley Jackson. She also wrote a story called The Lottery. So this is an extremely creepy cover. Goes back, so when you look at the whole thing. I have no idea what this is about. All I know is it's a classic. It's a scary tale. I don't want to know too much because it's quite thin. So I think it's best to just not know anything about it. Even the flap copy is more like an excerpt and it doesn't tell you what it's about. So I really don't want to know what it's about. When I feel like I encountered this book for the first time, I want to say it's something about a house or children or abandoned children or missing, just something really creepy, but I can't remember. Her stories are characterized by her use of realistic settings for tales that often involve elements of horror and the occult. That's all I want to know about this story. Super thin. I think it's best to go in blind. Like most books, I just like going into things without knowing too much. I don't like knowing like there's a twist ending. And when someone says, oh, there's a twist ending, I almost feel like I don't even want to read the book anymore, because even that just changes the reading experience. It's like you're constantly looking for the twist. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like going to an M. Night Shyamalan movie and you know there's going to be a twist. So instead of just like going on the ride and just being completely in the moment, you're constantly dissecting everything. And I feel like that about books when I know there's going to be a twist. Most of the time I don't like to know too much. So I was in New York City for Fashion Week. If you want to see, I have some pictures on Instagram, but I couldn't go to New York and not stop by my publishers and see my editor, Cindy Lowe, and I got some goodies. So I definitely checked out some things regarding the anthology, but I also brought home Stealing Snow by Danielle Paige. Danielle Paige also wrote the Dorothy Must Die series. Stealing Snow is Danielle Paige's take on the fairy tale The Snow Queen, where we get to really follow the Snow Queen, and we kind of always know her as a villain, but we get to see how she became who she was and what she ultimately became. And then I went to the Strand bookstore with Mr. Nicholson and one of our friends, and we Well, they watched me be dorky. I got these stickers. I don't even want to use the stickers. They're like this little bear, or he looks like a little gumdrop, and he's just like going all throughout the kitchen, but I can't use it. This always happens to me. We've also had this conversation before about using things. Like, I've had so many stickers from the past, like things that I would just never use because I didn't want to use them, or they're just so cute and I didn't use them. So I'm telling myself I really want to use these stickers, but it's so hard because it is so cute. I don't know what I'll do with them. Should I put stickers in the books? Is that like sacrilegious? Also, for my visit to my publisher, A Court of Mist and Fury. Really intrigued regarding this series. And Empire of Storms, book 5 in the Throne of Glass series. I've read up to Heir of Fire, and I'm about to start Queen of Shadows, which is book 4. I told you I just did not have a lot of time to read the last month and a half. Yes. Super excited to get to this. So that's my September book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you picked up this month. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Please share the video, and don't forget to hit that button and subscribe. And if you want to follow me on my social media, follow me at Goodreads, goodreads.com/Ameriie, and Instagram and Twitter at Ameriie, and also Snapchat, which is the only thing that's not Ameriie. It's Ameriie. Someone has my name, but their name isn't even Ameriie, and they just want to hang on to that. So hit me on there. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Oh, and for those of you who didn't see, I know I've been talking a lot about this lipstick. I put it on my blog. Okay, I had it, and now I don't know where it is. What? Urban Decay's Vice Disturbed Comfort Matte. Vice is like their new series. They're all reformulated apparently, and I'm loving them so far, so I'll be checking a lot more of these out. Okay, for real now. Bye! Look at these stickers. Aren't these cute? You see what I mean? How you like can't even like take them out? Like they're so cute together, it's like it makes you not want to use them. But we can't be saving things for later.